Love is Free Will by Amanda Samaroo. Fade in, exterior mountains, North Carolina day. Early morning in Asheville, North Carolina. A quiet residential street. Leaves are just starting to turn autumn shades of color. The air is crisp and a light mist is over the Blue Ridge Mountains that frame the community. We follow past a home with a rainbow flag on display, the only one around, to the Haskett house, flying a Carolina Panthers flag, and into the bedroom of Jake and Rachel Haskett, early 40s. Interior, Haskett home, day. Main bedroom. Jake smacks Rachel on the butt, waking her, and jumps up full of energy, his muscular chest displaying a cross tattooed above his heart. Interior hallway. Rachel throws open doors, waking up kids. Luke, 7, the surprise child, is first.
Church clothes are on your chair. Brush your teeth.
Teenage daughter Becca, 16, slim, athletic build, pretty, without trying to be, with no makeup and hair in a perpetual ponytail, is second. Her room is navy blue camouflage. A hunting bow hangs on the wall, and photos of her and Jake hunting and on the football field prominently displayed. This is a daddy's girl.
Wake up, don't make us late.
Interior kitchen. Rachel stacks pancakes on the kids' plates. They're watching a musical on the television. Luke sways along with the tune. Jake dances around Rachel as he covertly steals bacon and a kiss from her.
Mom, make him stop before we miss church. Dad's a great dancer.
Exterior, city of Asheville day. A crowd lines the sidewalk in front of a large Episcopal church, holding signs protesting the church's recent LGBT marriage and passing out Christian anti-LGBT propaganda. They are loud and vocal. Parishioners trying to enter the church are hailed with rude remarks. Interior, Haskett family SUV day. Everyone is in their church attire watching the spectacle. Not all are happy about it. A sullen Becca is texting while Luke ogles his face pressed against the window. The truck stops at a traffic signal.
There's Mom.
Jake's mom, Sarah, 60, sweetest Paula Deen lookalike, is on a mission, handing out flyers with protesters. Luke takes off his seatbelt, rolls down his window, and leans out, waving wildly. Sarah gives a hearty wave. Luke smiles big.
Nana, I hate gays too.
Mom! Luke,
Rachel spins around in her seat. Luke flops back, scolded.
you know not to take your seatbelt off.
Luke frowns.
Nana gets to miss church.
Listen to your mother.
Luke buckles back. The traffic signal turns green. Exterior, Baptist church, day. A small whitewashed backwoods Baptist church, nestled in a valley of beautiful red and yellow autumn leaf-covered mountains. The parking lot is filled with pickup trucks and late model cars. Church marquee reads, Asheville Free Will Baptist Church. Interior, Baptist church. Pews are filled with older parishioners, some dressed in department store finest and others in camos and jeans. Jake and his clan are seated in a pew beside his brother. Paul, 30s, a rugged younger version of Jake, standing stoic, and his latest wife, Jan, 30s, abnormally red hair, and nods enthusiastically to everything the preacher says. Preacher Greene, 60s, red-faced and animated, is at the pulpit, raining down a sermon.
The sin is the homosexual behavior. That's the sin. An alcoholic can choose not to drink the alcohol, and if that's true, then the homosexual can choose to not succumb to their sinful desires. If they cannot cast the demon out, they must at least resist the foul demon's urges.
Amen.
Exterior, Baptist church day. Preacher Greene sends off each parishioner as they exit. Jake in line with his family, Paul directly behind. Jake shakes the preacher's hand.
Great sermon.
Thank you, Coach. Your mom told me about Baptist University. I'll keep you in my prayers.
It's always good to have the Lord on your side.
Preacher shakes Paul's hand.
My second favorite coach. We're winning conference again this year, right?
You betcha.
Tell your mom we missed her today.
Exterior parking lot. Jake, Rachel, and the kids make their way to their SUV. Paul pulls up in his truck beside Jake and leans out the window.
The Patriots are going to dine on Panther meat today.
I tell you what's going to happen to your Patriots, but we're still on church premises.
Whatever. I'm picking up Mom and the beer.
None of that fruity craft crap.
Paul beats the side of his truck door with his hand, pulls off. Jan wiggles her fingers by. Rachel wiggles hers back, muttering under her breath.
I think I liked his second wife better. This one's not the brightest.
Interior truck day. The family is traveling the winding road back home through the Blue Ridge Mountains. Jake turns up the radio as the Abbott brothers start to sing.
Preacher Greene was on fire today, don't you think?
Riveting.
Really? What was your favorite part?
Rachel smiles, caught in her little white lie.
Becca, Luke, Mom was daydreaming in church again. What did preacher say again?
He said gay people like alcohol, but you and Uncle Paul drink beer. Are you and Uncle Paul gay?
Becca and Rachel laugh.
Yeah, Dad. Tell us.
Wish I'd listened now.
Funny. Nothing but good Christians in this family, son.
Jake turns the music up louder as Rachel smirks out the window. Interior Hasket kitchen day. Rachel takes out food, setting up for football Sunday as Jake maneuvers past her, opening the fridge for her water.
This kitchen is so freaking small.
Jake backs Rachel against the counter.
The bigger kitchen is coming.
How big?
Giant.
Rachel gives him a kiss. Luke rushes in with his clothes changed and football in hand.
That's how you catch germs.
Luke races back out the door, calling back.
I'm waiting outside.
Rachel plants another quick kiss on Jake's lips.
Go change.
Exterior Hasket home, day. Jake throws the football to Luke. A car parks at the curb. Leah, 16, a delicate girl with a pixie cut, gets out her car and proceeds toward the house as a king cab pickup pulls in the driveway carrying Paul and his family. Sarah riding shotgun. Jake saunters toward the truck as they exit.
The rebel is here.
Sarah puffs up proud and righteous.
Did Preacher Greene miss me?
I asked about you as soon as service was over.
Sarah floats into the house with Jan hot on her heels. Paul grabs a hot pan of cornbread at the back, promptly drops it.
Dang, that's got a blister.
And we can have Mom kiss it when we get inside.
Paul frowns, looking at his thumb as he nods back towards the back of the truck.
Grab that beer.
Jake grabs the beer. Interior Hasket house, day. Leah enters the house. Rachel's in her Panthers jersey, setting out snacks with Sarah that Jan's already sampling.
Hi, Mrs. Haskett.
Hi, Leah. Becca, Leah's here. I'm going to meet your mum.
Next time for sure.
Becca stops in the doorway and Leah follows her back down the hall.
I know they're Yankees, but they've been hanging out all summer, and I have yet to meet a parent.
I heard they're Jewish.
No. Are you sure?
Jesus was a Jew, Sarah.
The guys walk in with the beer.
Becca's not watching the game with us.
She's a teenager now. Deal.
Rachel gives his battered ego a kiss on the cheek.
I'll bet you the back row Panthers win by 3.
Bet accepted.
Interior family room later. Luke on top of his dad as they all watch the game.
Your man's no goat. Look at that. Cam can do it all.
Paul pulls out an odd-looking cloth doll out of his pocket.
What is that?
It's my Carolina voodoo doll. I'm gonna hang it on the TV.
You're not hanging that on my television.
Rachel stands up to make her way to the kitchen.
Who's ready for chili?
Me.
He grabs the voodoo doll and stuffs it in his pocket.
Can you put some onions on mine? And a little dollop of sour cream on the side. I spent half the night making that. Give it.
Jan pops up.
I got his.
Sarah snaps too.
Oh, let me ask the youngins.
Interior hallway. Sarah approaches Becca's closed door. Sarah tries to open it. The doorknob catches as if locked, then swings open abruptly. Becca and Leah are entwined on the bed, wearing only jeans and their bras. They spring apart, grabbing shirts and throwing them back on. Sarah stares confused for mere seconds before comprehending. She lets out an exclamation as she flings herself between them, shielding Becca from Leah.
Get away from her! You demon! Jake!
Nana, stop, please.
Jake!
Nana, stop. She wasn't hurting me.
Then what was she doing?
Jake halts at Becca's doorway, the other adults behind it.
Jesus Christ, Mom, what's going on?
Sarah points at Leah.
She was raping Becca.
Leah flees out the room past the adults who are standing, mouths gaped open.
She wasn't raping me.
You don't know what you're saying. That thing had Becca shut off, attacking her.
The front door slams shut. Sarah is visibly shaken.
My chest is hurting.
Rachel walks over and puts an arm around Sarah, guiding her toward Paul.
Sarah, why don't you just go with Paul and Jan to the living room and sit down?
Paul leads a hesitant Sarah into the hallway, closing the door behind him. Interior hallway.
Everything's all right.
I felt the Holy Spirit pulling me back there.
I felt it too. Like an evil presence was in the house. I didn't want to alarm anyone. I'm very sensitive about these things.
Interior bedroom. Rachel sits on the bed and puts her arm around a frightened Becca. Jake stands in front of her at a complete loss. Rachel and Becca wait for his reaction.
Did she force you into something?
Becca stares like a deer in the headlights.
Call the girl's parents now.
Becca startles.
No, Mom, please. She didn't make me do anything. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry.
Beat. Jake abruptly storms out. Becca crumbles, tears flowing down her cheeks. Rachel is sincerely perplexed.
Were you just experimenting?
Becca becomes more distraught. Rachel hugs her close. Interior main bedroom night. Rachel is pacing the room, phone to her ear, Jake shadowing her.
She was protecting her granddaughter.
My mother's a saint.
Rachel indicates with a hand gesture for Jake to calm down.
Well, if you bothered to meet us, you would have known we were crazy.
Beat.
You just keep your daughter away from ours. We both work at the high school. We will be watching.
Rachel pulls the phone away from her ear, looking at the screen. The caller has ended the call.
Yankees.
Rachel throws her phone on the bed.
I count on you to know who Becca's friends are, what kind of family they come from.
Did she look like a lesbian to you?
No softball this year. She can sign up for sewing, the dazzling things or something.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
I'm just saying, maybe you should have spent more time with Becca doing girl things, makeup and hair.
This is my fault.
Jake throws his hands up with an if the shoe fits expression on his face.
She'd rather be with you hunting.
A lot of girls hunt.
Really, Jake? A lot of girls hunt.
Fine, no more hunting.
Jake sits on the end of the bed, head in hands. Rachel sits beside him and puts an arm around him.
Never in a million years would I have thought such a thing. Not from Becca.
Interior hallway night. Jake peeks in on a sleeping Luke, removing the football from under his arm. Interior hallway, Becca's door. Jake raps lightly.
It's open.
Interior Becca's room. Jake walks over, perching on her desk, and picks up a photo of them in the woods and wistfully sets it back. Awkwardness abounds.
I'm
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It just,
What's this? I mean,
I don't know, it just felt, I don't know why.
Jake rubs his face and sits on the edge of her bed.
has this been going on all summer?
Not all summer, just a few weeks.
Jake nods, taking a moment to digest that piece of news.
I failed you somehow.
Tears roll down her face.
You didn't fail me. You're the best dad in the world. I'm sorry, please don't hate me.
Jake opens his arms and she curls up to her dad.
I could never hate you, but no more of this nonsense, okay? No matter what the internet or TV tells you, it's a sin. And stay away from that girl, okay? She's leading you down the wrong path.
Becca nods. Interior church morning. Sign on door. Women's Bible study. Rachel is setting up refreshments on a table. Jan and Sarah are helping. Other women are standing in little groups, Bible in hand, waiting for everyone to arrive.
Did you talk to her? What did she say? You didn't return any of my calls.
Rachel looks around the room.
Jesus, Jan, keep it down.
Jan leans in closer. Sarah joins suit.
We should have all the women praying about this.
No, absolutely not.
Jan's affronted.
Fine.
Jan pulls out a brochure, handing it to Rachel.
There's a Christian counseling program that changes gay people back to normal. It's expensive though.
Rachel hushes her again. Jan leans back in.
No one's saying she's gay, for God's sake. Just confused.
Preacher Greene would do it for free.
An alarm goes off on Jan's cell phone.
Okay, Proverbs 12:27. Whoever is slothful will not roast his game. Or, if you're late to Bible study, we start without you.
Women start taking seats in the circle.
It can't hurt.
That's true, I guess. All right, I'll discuss it with Jake.
Interior Haskett House night. Jake and Rachel are seated with Becca at the dining room table. Becca is waiting for them to say something. Jake clears his throat.
It's confusing growing up right now, I get that.
Jake looks to Rachel. She encourages him to continue.
So I told you we'd pray about it, and we did. And we think we've found something that'll help. There's a counseling program Preacher Greene can go through with you to help you clear your thoughts on things. It's once a week, like a Bible study group. No one has to know you're going.
You think I have something wrong with me?
No,
Absolutely
no, not at all.
not.
Look, we love you, and we'll work through this as a family, just like I told you, but this way you can talk to someone in private. Someone knows how to help, but still, Team Haskett, we're always here.
And if it doesn't work?
It's going to work. Remember, every Christian gets tested. It's our faith that gets us through. I know your faith is strong.
Becca nods, her brain agreeing, her heart rebelling. Interior kitchen. Jake and Rachel are cleaning up. Jake seems preoccupied. Rachel notices.
I feel better with a plan, don't you?
Jake shrugs. Rachel stops.
What?
Everyone that Baptist University hires has to sign a morality clause saying you'll uphold their doctrine. Those that don't sign aren't even considered.
He puts a dish on a high shelf for Rachel.
Becca won't let us down.
Let's just see if we even get that far. I'm not the only one they interviewed.
There's no way you're not getting that job. We sign it. Plain and simple.
Interior hallway. Becca is standing with an empty glass in her hand. She's heard it all. She moves back to her room. Interior Becca's room. Becca closes her door and sits on her bed, lowering her head in earnest prayer.
Don't let me screw up my family, please.
Her cell phone rings. She stops and looks at it. Leah's face is on the screen. She throws the phone across the room and cries. Interior Preacher Greene's office day. Becca is seated, straight-backed, in a small, cramped room. In stark contrast to the darkness are pictures of Preacher Greene with his family hung on the 1970s dark panel walls in bright white frames. Preacher Greene leans forward, flashing a smile meant to be reassuring, but failing.
The first step is admitting your sin and asking forgiveness from the Almighty. Do you understand your sin, Rebecca?
Becca waffles.
I love a girl?
Lust feels like love to the young, but to lust or love another of the same sex in that manner is a mortal sin. Homosexuality is a sin.
Becca swallows her shame hard.
But you can seek forgiveness. John 8:32 tells us that Jesus promised to offer help and freedom to those who are willing to embrace what is true. So it's really all up to you to just accept what is true. Homosexuality leads to hell. It's an abomination in the eyes of God, and those that don't fight their urges will burn in hell.
Preacher Greene reaches in a drawer and takes out a thick rubber band, handing it to Becca. Becca takes it, confused.
Let's start simple. I want you to wear this on your wrist at all times.
Becca pulls it around her left wrist.
Every time you have an impure urge, I want you to snap it like this.
Preacher Greene snaps it. Becca winces. Interior Haskett SUV day. Rachel is parked in front of the church reading and drinking coffee when Becca jumps in the car.
Well, how was it?
Great.
Yeah?
Becca nods.
So what's with that thing there?
Oh, I just snap it when I think a thought I want to change.
Maybe I can wear one and snap it every time I think about a donut.
Very funny, Mom.
Interior Haskett home night. Family room. Jake walks in with a box of donuts to Rachel's delight and plops down beside her.
How was it?
Rachel nods enthusiastically as she stuffs a donut in her mouth. Jake's body relaxes in relief. He takes a donut for himself. Interior Asheville High School day. Weight room. Jake and Paul are supervising the players working out. Ryan Johnson, teenage Thor, ambles up, showered and ready to change classes.
Coach, I got a problem. Mr. Ash is saying I gotta miss the first conference game for some chorus competition.
Why did you sign up for that class anyway?
Ryan's face breaks into a big grin.
Becca's in it?
I'll speak to him.
Thanks, Coach.
Ryan retreats.
You want me to talk to Mitch?
No, I can do it.
Interior hallway. Becca is walking down the hallway, looking at her wrist, red with welts around it. Leah catches up and walks beside her. Becca quickly pulls her shirt sleeve over her wrist and scans the hallway.
My parents could be anywhere.
My mom said you can come stay with us. She's talking about calling social services. That conversion therapy crap is child abuse.
Becca looks mortified.
You told your mom?
I have a really cool mom.
My parents are cool. They're trying to help me.
Help you what?
Be normal.
So I'm not normal?
That's not what I meant.
There's nothing wrong with us, Becca. Don't buy into this bullshit.
Ryan struts up to the girls. Becca abruptly turns her back to Leah and gives him all of her attention.
Hey,
What's up?
nothing. Just talking football.
So you were talking about me?
Obviously.
Your dad's getting me out of the chorus trip. I hope you're not too disappointed.
Leah flounces off. Becca spots Jake walking down the hall and feigns a pout at Ryan. He flexes his arm at her. With an exaggerated smile, she hands her book bag to him. She takes his arm, leading an elated Ryan down the hallway. Jake spots them and smiles, reassured as he ambles into the front office. Interior front administrative office. At the front desk sits Martha, 60s, her hair fashioned after Betty White.
You have a letter from Baptist University.
There's a thick envelope sticking out of Jake's inbox. Martha retrieves it.
Should I open it for you? Just want to tell me?
We're going to miss you.
She hands Jake the letter. Interior teacher's lounge. Jake enters, letter in hand, and drops it in front of Rachel, who's scarfing down food. He cops a squat beside her and starts taking out his own lunch. Rachel scans over the letter.
I saw the mountain lion again this morning.
There's no mountain lion.
Right outside the back lot there, too.
It was probably a house cat.
If that was a house cat, it was a mutant freak of nature.
She holds up the letter with a big grin.
I told you so. You should never doubt me.
When will I learn?
She folds the paper, handing it back. She looks around the room and leans into Jake and gives him a quick kiss.
Are you worried?
I saw her arm in arm with Ryan in the hallway not half an hour ago.
A bell rings. Rachel stands up and leans in.
We'll celebrate later.
Interior chorus classroom. Ryan is standing with Mitch Ash, 35, chorus teacher, attractive face, tribal tattoo down his left arm, seated at the piano. Ryan is only half listening as he cuts his eyes towards Becca, smiling a goofy grin. Mitch's voice is an octave higher than you expect.
Ryan,
Ryan looks back as Mitch hands him a sheet of music.
you're writing me an essay on the history of music and the Appalachian culture.
Oh, come on.
The competition counts as a grade. It was on the syllabus.
Mitch waves an unhappy Ryan back to his seat. Becca and Leah seated apart in the alto section. Becca's leg is bouncing up and down and she's discreetly snapping her rubber band on her wrist, wincing at the pain almost without thought.
Everyone, look over your competition songs while I work with Becca on her solo.
Becca approaches the piano.
Are you ready for Friday night?
I think so.
Mitch plays a chord on the piano, notices Becca trying to hide her wrist, and stops.
Everything okay, Becca?
Becca pulls her shirt sleeve down more.
It's for my hair. I have a bad habit of snapping it.
Maybe you should take it off.
I'll lose it.
Mitch lets it go and plays a chord. Becca takes a quick peek over her shoulder at Ryan, who flashes her a smile, then at Leah. She snaps the band on her wrist as she starts to sing. Interior Rachel's classroom, theater, drama class. Kids are on stage practicing lines. Mitch walks in and sits beside Rachel in the audience.
Hey, did you get my email? December for spring musical auditions?
I'll make a sign-up sheet.
Becca's auditioning for the lead, so I'll stay out of those.
Worried about cries of nepotism?
Keeps me safe either way.
Rachel returns to listening to the kids on stage. Mitch shifts around in his seat.
We're having a fall family fest at our church on Saturday if you'd like to bring Becca. We have a great choir she'd love to hear.
Rachel frowns.
Yeah, Jake would love that. Isn't Gary mad about the protesting? I'm sure he knows Sarah organized it.
The Lord called him to serve where he was needed.
Rachel purses her lips, watching the kids on stage.
Look, Rachel, if you ever need to talk about anything, ask any questions. I'm always around.
Rachel looks back, studying his face for a moment.
Is Becca ready for Friday night?
Yeah, she's ready.
Exterior muddy football field night. Becca is center field singing the national anthem. Jake watches with pride as the stands erupt at her finish. Jump scenes of football plays. Jake's team dominates the field. Ryan breaks through the defensive line for a first down. The stands erupt in celebration. Exterior stands. Rachel, Jan, and Sarah are sitting in front with Luke. They are drinking hot chocolate and cheering. Becca is seated behind them with a friend.
Go, Dad!
Luke, you're so stupid. You can't yell for Dad.
Oh, let him yell for his dad.
Luke gives Sarah a big smile. Becca and her friend leave unnoticed.
Go, Dad!
Exterior football field. Jake is pacing the muddy sideline. Paul is near him, calmly watching the players. Jake is taking his cap on and off, running his hand through his hair, his usual anxious dance. Richard Johnson, Ryan's redneck father, hunched over in the fence in the background.
Push through. Knock him on their ass.
Ryan, fullback position, takes the handoff and veers right through the line. Takes multiple players to drag him down.
Next time, have him take it straight through the middle. The middle!
Jake, ignoring the fence post coaching, runs the last few plays. Jake's team crushing the opponent. End of game signals. The stands erupt. Jake gives a fist pump in the air to his family as he runs out onto the field to shake hands. Exterior football stands. The stands are emptying. Rachel and Luke are telling Sarah and Jan bye. Luke gives his Nana a big hug and kiss as they leave. Rachel gathers up the blanket.
Carry this.
Rachel hands Luke the blanket. Rachel looks around.
Where's your sister?
Over there.
Becca is standing in a group of teenagers that includes Leah. Rachel frowns as her eyes dart briefly to the field.
Let's go, Becca!
Rachel and Luke head towards the parking lot. Becca catches up.
We're all friends, Mom. I can't tell them to leave her out.
Leave who out? Leah? Because she attacked you?
Mom.
Rachel stops walking and stoops to his level.
Nana was mistaken, remember?
Becca takes the opportunity and flounces ahead, putting in earphones. Rachel and Luke stop and lean against the wall by the locker room doors. Interior locker room. Jake and Paul are praising the players. Ryan brushes past Jake, turning around as he's pushing out the doors.
We're unstoppable this year, Coach.
Yes, we are, son. Good game.
Exterior locker room. Rachel is leaning against the building, holding the blanket. Luke is seated on the ground. Jake comes out. Luke jumps up and gives him a fist bump. Jake gives him a football.
You were awesome, Dad.
Rachel gives Jake a quick kiss.
It was a great game.
Luke is throwing the football back and forth with Jake as they walk.
Sam's dad said the school should kiss your ass and do what it takes to keep you here.
Hey!
It's what he said.
Luke runs ahead before he gets in trouble. Ryan is leaning against the vehicle with Becca.
Maybe they can hire Ryan's dad.
Jake puts his arm around Rachel.
Yeah, it was nice.
No, you were not. I was watching.
Well, I didn't throw anything at him. Word in the locker room is Ryan's asking Becca to homecoming.
Slow down. Give them time to talk.
Interior mall, day. Rachel and Jan are looking at Becca in a dress.
I love it.
School colors, too.
Great. Can I go meet my friends now?
You have 1 hour. I have a date with your dad tonight.
Interior mall, coffee shop inside mall. Rachel and Jan are finishing their drinks, a dress bag over Rachel's chair.
Jake's gonna need a new job just to pay for Becca's dress.
Just hide the receipt and lie.
I couldn't do that.
I'd never be able to shop if I didn't.
I'm just so thrilled Becca's going with Ryan. I mean, his family are assholes, but he's so cute for her, don't you think?
Jan claps her hands together in mock prayer.
The therapy was my idea.
Rachel glances at the time on her phone.
Yes, it was, and thank you. Come on, let's find her.
Interior mall. Rachel is traversing through a young, hip clothing store looking for Becca, Jan chattering nonsense beside her.
Why isn't she answering her cell?
They walk into the dressing room. Rachel looks under the curtains at first. In a back stall, she sees Becca's shoes toe-to-toe with someone else's. Rachel stands up perplexed for a moment. Slowly, she pulls back the curtain. Exterior mall parking lot. Rachel storms towards her SUV, Jan hot on her heels. Becca struggles to keep up.
What are you gonna do? Oh my God! I thought she was dating Ryan. Oh my Lord Jesus! Sarah's gonna lose her mind.
Rachel rolls around on her. Jan halts. Rachel takes a deep breath, gathering herself.
We don't want to upset Sarah. Get in the car.
Rachel opens the hatch and flings the expensive dress in the back. Interior Rachel's SUV. Everyone is inside, buckling seatbelts. Rachel and Jan in front. Becca sits quiet in the back seat, slump-shouldered. Rachel goes to start the SUV, stops, flustered, knuckles white, gripping the wheel.
God, Becca, what is going on? And tell me the truth.
No one wants to hear the truth.
I
I
do.
want to hear the truth.
Becca lashes out.
I hear all of you talking, even you, Mom.
Rachel and Jan exchange guilty looks.
We joke, Becca, but this is serious. We're trying so hard to help you. Why lie to us?
Becca snorts. Rachel draws a deep breath.
You haven't even been on a date with Ryan. He's a good-looking kid.
He is Becca. He looks like Thor, but younger and...
Rachel stops Jan's babble with a look.
We should pray.
Just pray in your head.
Rachel gets a text and checks her phone.
Your Nana's waiting for you.
She starts the SUV, looks back at Becca, wanting to say more. Thinks better of it, catching the look on Jan's eager face.
I'll finish this discussion later.
Interior Haskett House kitchen, night. Rachel drags herself into the kitchen and tosses her purse and keys onto the counter where champagne and glasses are set out. Interior family room. Jake has just lit the fireplace. He scoops her up with an exuberant kiss, oblivious to anything but his news.
You just kissed Baptist University's new offensive coach.
Jake takes a cue to pour champagne and strides to the kitchen. Rachel shadows behind him.
There's a meeting to formalize everything. You know, salary, benefits.
Jake pops open the champagne.
I bought steaks for dinner. Not the cheap ones either.
He pours the glasses half full as she ponders how to tell him.
Got all night to celebrate.
Rachel takes a deep breath, gathering her courage as she takes the glass.
Team Haskett.
Her courage vanishes in the face of his joy. She smiles, raising her glass.
Team Haskett.
Interior bedroom, day. Jake wakes up, Rachel draped around him.
Hey, wake up.
Rachel half wakes up.
The kids are at your mom's all day.
Not that. Well, later. I have a surprise.
Jake smacks her butt, jumping out of bed. Rachel sits up fully awake now to the reality of what she has to tell him.
Jake.
She leans over, looking into the bathroom. He's already in the shower. Interior, exterior, Jake's truck, day. Jake is driving. Rachel is in the passenger side of the truck, blindfolded.
This is ridiculous. I should take off the blindfold. I'm going to vomit.
Nice try. Keep it on.
Jake pulls to a stop.
Now?
Jake
Wait.
grabs her hands.
Wait.
Exterior, Jake's truck. Rachel sits impatient as Jake exits the truck and races to open her door. He guides her out as she holds onto him.
Don't run me into a pole or anything.
Jake laughs.
Would I do that?
Summer 2010.
He smiles.
That was an accident.
So he said.
Jake positions Rachel and removes her blindfold. In front of them is a lakefront house with a for sale sign in the yard. Rachel gapes, forgetting everything but her dream house.
Does it have a big kitchen?
Giant.
They go inside, hand in hand like kids. Interior lake house. It's a modern kitchen with top-of-the-line appliances, lots of counter space. Rachel is running her hands along the granite countertops, checking out the high-end gadgets.
Oh, there's 2 ovens. Look! 2 ovens! There's 4 trays of appetizers at one time for Sunday football.
Jake is watching, pleased with himself. Rachel stops gawking in the kitchen and beams at him. It is the house of her dreams.
Come see the view.
He leads her outside. Exterior lake house back deck. A spectacular long lake view framed by Blue Ridge Mountains, covered in brilliant yellow, orange, and red fall foliage is before them. It's a crisp day, giving a clear view of the calm waters beyond the boat dock. Its peacefulness infectious.
This is heaven, Jake.
He wraps his arms around her from behind, taking it in with her.
If my dreams are going to come true, yours should too.
Rachel turns into his arms, reality setting in, and starts to cry. Jake pulls her back to read her face.
These are happy tears, right? What? What?
I
She
caught
shakes
Becca.
her head.
I caught Becca kissing Leah at the mall yesterday. You were so happy last night. The steaks and the...
In public at the mall? Jesus Christ, what about Ryan?
She's trying to be what we want her to be.
What did you say to her? Did you tell her this shit isn't natural?
Who's to say it's not natural?
God says it.
No, he doesn't. Not really. He could have made it real clear, like one of the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not be a homosexual. Oh, he would leave that out, don't you think?
What the hell, Rachel? Those people do not get into heaven.
Maybe we should give that some more thought now that we know our daughter's one of those people.
A little longer with the therapy.
Have you seen her wrist?
Jake rubs his own wrist.
Team Haskett. She's still on this team.
Exterior autumn woods day. Bows in hand, Becca and Jake, cheeks glowing pink from the crisp air, tramping through the woods.
I thought we weren't hunting this season.
We're just hiking, getting fresh air.
We have our bows.
Protection from Mom's mountain lion.
This gets a small smile from Becca.
Ryan thinks he might get a full scholarship from BU. You'd coach him for 4 more years.
Becca.
I messed up again. I know. I'm trying. I swear on the Bible.
Jake searches for words.
We thought you were going to be an only child. I treated you like a son. Did I do this?
Becca shrugs.
This is who I've always been. I've prayed about it a lot. Apparently God's not listening.
Why do you say that?
It's true. I pray and I still feel the same way. I know I'm going to hell.
Jake grabs her by the shoulders.
You're not going to hell. We won't give up on you, Becca. We love you.
You love who you want me to be. That doesn't count.
Interior Becca's room night. Becca's curled up in her bed, cell phone in hand.
Our souls has no gender. We are both feminine and masculine energy.
It doesn't matter. Stop texting me.
And if I don't, your dad isn't the only one who's not giving up on you.
Becca starts to thumb a reply and hesitates. With tears in her eyes, Becca blocks Leah's contact, curls up and cries. Exterior, Wicked Weed Bar, night. A local gastro pub and microbrewery frequented by hipsters and polished rednecks. Televisions are playing around the pub with closed captioning. Jake and Paul are sipping beer, glasses almost empty. Jake's just not in the mood for Paul's chatter.
It's going to be great. They've had 5 players go pro. Jim Washburn went there. Coached defense line for the Lions and the Titans.
Yeah, it's a dream.
Are you going to get a boat?
Rachel loves to water ski.
Paul frowns and shifts in his seat as CNN catches his attention. On the screen is a woman with the breaking news headline, LGBT protesters in the streets of Washington over recent legislation.
She's pretty excited?
Ecstatic. We're all jumping around in joy.
Paul turns his attention back to the TV above.
Look at this crap the government's doing.
He nods toward the television.
Do they have the right? How do you make human rights something you vote on? Aren't human rights inherent if you're a human?
This country's going to hell in a handbasket.
It's hellacious on both sides, I guess.
How much have you been drinking?
Jake nods towards his coworker, Mitch, and his husband Gary, who are leaving the bar holding hands.
Our kids see that shit.
Paul sighs and looks at the text he just received.
I gotta get home. And for the record, I'm not so sure I've made it into heaven myself.
Jake takes out his wallet and slaps money on the table. Exterior downtown Asheville, Jake and Paul exit the restaurant.
See you tomorrow.
Suddenly, loud voices cry out in the distance. Jake and Paul sprint toward the noise without hesitation, braking as they round the corner. Lying on the sidewalk, bleeding profusely from his face and head is Mitch. His husband Gary is splayed out nearby. 2 large boys, dressed in camouflage, faces covered, hovering over him. One has a baseball bat, raised to strike.
Hey! Shit, go, go!
Jake hurtles towards them. The assailant with the bat panics, running behind the building, and as the other assailant jumps into a dark-colored pickup and tears away into the night. Exterior alley. Jake catches up to the panicked assailant and tackles him.
Coach, it's me.
Jake jumps up, confused. The assailant turns over, uncovering his face.
Oh, God damn it!
You gotta let me go.
Paul rushes to a clearly distraught Jake.
Shit fire.
Ryan holds his hands up in submission.
It was a dare. It was just a dare. They're fairies. Come on, coach, let me go. No one else saw me. I didn't even swing the bat. We just roughed them up. No girls on the team, right?
Jake shakes the shit out of him.
This isn't the football field!
Paul pulls Jake back.
Go help Mitch. I got this in here.
Exterior side street. Jake finds Gary hovered over Mitch. He looks around for something to stop the bleeding. There's nothing. Jake removes his outer shirt and uses it to stifle the bleeding and tries to make him comfortable. Sirens blare in the distance. Interior Haskett home night. Main bedroom. Jake drags himself in with blood still on his shirt. Rachel, watching TV through puffy red eyes, leaps out the bed towards him.
Is he okay?
He keeps her at arm's length.
Don't get his blood on you.
Interior bathroom. Jake showers, scrubbing his skin off in frustration. Interior Becca's bedroom. Becca lounges on her bed, her TV on low, homework laid out. The TV flashes breaking news. A reporter in downtown Asheville stands at the scene of the crime. Becca stops what she's doing and turns up the volume.
A hate crime in Asheville. That's what some are saying after a local high school teacher was attacked by masked assailants.
Becca fixates on the TV. Interior Jake's bedroom. Jake comes out the bathroom dressed and rubbing his wet head with a towel.
Shit, it's on the news.
Interior Becca's bedroom. Becca's still in front of the TV as tears fall silently down her face.
Patrons in the downtown area say local high school chorus teacher Mitch Ash.
She's unresponsive to the knocks that start on her door. Interior hallway. Jake is knocking on the door with Rachel behind him. There's a screaming and a loud crash. Jake opens the door. Interior Becca's room. Becca is staring at the broken TV. Interior high school day. Jake is seated with Paul in the administration office. Principal Dean and Vice Principal Holland at the table as well.
They've only charged him with a simple assault charge. As a minor...
It was a hate crime, plain as day.
No one's calling it a hate crime. Apparently Ryan and Mr. Ash have a history of not getting along in class.
We chew these boys out on a daily basis. No one has attacked us. You should hear the shit Jake says.
Careful what you're saying.
We have a meeting set for 10.
We need to remove them from the team.
It was off school grounds, not during school hours. Not sure there's much we can do legally. Matt's father is an attorney. Let's not forget that.
That's horse shit.
Coach Haskett,
I'm sorry, I apologize, but it is.
I can't tell you what to do with your team. Just keep me in the loop and don't get the school board involved in the lawsuit.
Interior school hallway. Jake and Paul exit the office as students break around them.
What the hell was that?
Whether we like their lifestyle or not, we've worked with Mitch for years. I think we should take them boys off the team.
Alright, I hear you. Let's just cool down and think it through.
Paul sulks away. Interior school hallway. Becca crams books into her locker. As she slams it closed, she spins around to find Ryan slack-shouldered behind her. They stare for a beat.
How mad are you?
Her face says it all. She starts to flounce off. Ryan blocks her.
Sorry, really, I'm just scared. My dad's really pissed I got caught.
He's pissed you got caught?
She tries to maneuver around him.
If your dad cuts me off the team, it'll mess everything up.
Do you even care that you hurt Mr. Ash?
I never hit him. I was really glad your dad showed up. He stopped me from doing something I'd regret. Seriously, it wasn't my idea.
Becca starts towards her class. Ryan lumbers behind her.
Maybe you could talk to your dad for me?
Talk to him yourself.
Interior Jake's office. Jake and Paul are seated with Richard and Matt's father, Randy Burton, local attorney full of panache. Randy slides papers across the desk toward them. Jake and Paul look them over.
The boys have agreed to community service for the rough housing.
Rough housing?
Jake hushes Paul with a look.
This really isn't a school matter. We came here out of courtesy for all you do for the boys.
We're considering benching the boys during the conference game.
There's a lesson to be taught here.
Our boys don't need no lessons. Them fag people was holding hands right there in public, wearing wedding bands like they really married, flaunting it in our faces.
Paul smiles, told you so, at Jake. Randy tries to temper Richard with a touch to the shoulder.
Benching Ryan will cost my son a scholarship. What's your son got to lose? He's no star player. His ass stays on the bench.
Richard grinds his chair back and stomps out.
Community service will teach them their lesson.
Randy stands.
I'm sure you can see where Baptist University might not like you to be defending a married homosexual preacher.
Are you threatening me, Randy?
Just stating a fact.
Randy leaves without a handshake.
Here's a fact. They're a pack of assholes. No wonder them boys acted that way. We're benching them, right?
Jake doesn't answer, rubs his face.
I'm still a coach here too, ain't I?
Richard could be right about Ryan's scholarship. Hell of it is probably was Matt's idea. Ryan's just a follower. He wouldn't come up with this on his own.
Jake rises from his chair with a heavy weight on his shoulders. Interior locker room, Jake and Paul addressing the players. Ryan, head hung, is sitting beside a stoic Matt.
If I gave anyone on this team the impression that violence is the answer to anything in life, I want you to know I'm truly sorry. That was never my intention. We play rough on the field. We want to win, but we always respect the other team. We never want to win by causing harm to another player. If we can't outplay them, then they deserve to win. Am I right?
Yes, Coach.
See, it's the same off the field. We may not agree with all that's going on around us now, but we respect the rights of other people. We play fair.
Yes, Coach.
You boys all mean a lot to us. We're not just your coaches. We hope we're examples of what a compassionate and decent human being all of you can be, even in the face of an opponent. So with real heavy hearts, we've decided that Ryan and Matt will be benched for the rest of the conference games.
Unrest and cries of dissension arise from the players. Only a few are in full agreement.
All right, that's enough. Everybody sit. This is a strong team. There's no reason we can't still win conference.
Matt stands up.
I'm not sitting the bench.
Sit the bench, or you turn it in.
Matt walks out.
That's his choice. The rest of you, let's get out there and start your warm-up.
Players head out the locker room door, Ryan dragging at the rear. He stops in front of Jake and Paul looking at the ground.
I'm real sorry I let you down, Coach.
Ryan ambles out the locker room without waiting for a response. Jake's head hangs lower than Ryan's. Paul pats Jake on the back.
You did the right thing.
Exterior Haskett neighborhood, day. Rachel stands on the front porch of a neighbor's house holding a casserole. A rainbow flag flying from the post. Gary opens the door. Mitch is on the couch, face bruised and swollen.
Rachel.
I made a casserole.
A casserole? No one's dead.
Interior Mitch and Gary's home. Rachel enters looking around the house. The living room shows a very religious home and a lot of football paraphernalia. There's a Bible open on the coffee table with notes beside it. Rachel looks at it.
King James.
Same Bible, different views. We're Episcopalian.
Rachel's staring at photographs on the wall.
The church your mother-in-law.
Yes, I know. I'm really sorry about all that.
I will say I've never understood where you fit in that family.
We are all a product of what we've been taught. Don't judge.
Luke 6:37. I never judge others. Bring Jake to our church. He probably saved my life.
Rachel scoffs in reply as she looks at the photos on his walls. Family pictures. This is a long-term relationship. A recent wedding photo of Mitch and Gary. Pictures of them at football games.
You like football?
Yeah, love it. Played some college ball before I blew out my knee.
How long have you been married?
Married since the day they passed the law. But he's been my husband for 20 years.
A small boy runs into the room straight into Gary's arms.
Daddy!
Mitch kisses his cheek. Rachel watches them. She looks around and realizes what a happy family they make.
You have a son. Okay, I have some questions.
Interior Haskett home, dinner table, night. The family is seated around the dinner table listening. Rachel animated and enthusiastic, telling a story as she eats. She's obviously been carrying on, and Jake is tuning out.
And then he said, and this was the aha moment for me. He said, God made me, and God doesn't make mistakes.
God doesn't make mistakes. He's God.
Becca smiles. Rachel's heart soars, seeing it.
God doesn't. But Nana said the devil planted dinosaur bones here to fool us. And if the devil can fool us with dinosaur bones, he can fool us with anything. And Becca has an unclean spirit in her.
Becca drops her fork.
Well, Nana is wrong, and she should not have told you that. Right, Dad?
Jake's only sure half of that is wrong.
Jake.
Dinosaurs were real. The devil didn't plant their bones here to fool us.
Luke thinks this over as Rachel and Becca wait for Jake to continue. Jake puts food in his mouth instead.
But if there's a demon inside Becca, just throw holy water on her. Don't stab her with a wooden stake. She's a good sister, okay, Dad?
Luke nods at Becca like he's taking up for her.
I promise.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Becca struggles not to cry.
Thanks, Dad.
Come on, it's a joke. She knows that. You know that, right?
Becca flounces away from the table.
What is wrong with you?
Matthew 12:22, then was brought unto him one possessed with a devil. It happens.
They didn't know about schizophrenia.
It's been a real shitty day. Can you give me a little slack?
Rachel throws her napkin down and follows Becca. Jake looks over at Luke.
God is everywhere, Dad. Let's go to the big church. It looks like a castle.
I know it's a big church, but we're not going there. It's a big church full of sinners.
Preacher Greene says we're all sinners.
Eat your food.
Interior Becca's room. Rachel stops and knocks on the door frame. Becca is crying on her bed. Rachel sits on the bed beside her and comforts her.
Dad thinks I'm possessed.
You're not possessed with anything other than teenage hormones.
Becca thinks this over.
I want to be normal, and I want Dad to love me like he used to. I'm sick of praying and nothing changes.
Maybe we're all praying for the wrong thing.
Interior church day. Women's Bible study are seated in a circle. Everyone but Rachel is up in arms.
We must continue our fight against the devil and his delusions. Our children are attacking the infidels in the streets out of frustration that our own government is legalizing their sin. The Bible tells us it's a sin.
Does it? Does the Bible really tell us that?
Rachel, are you feeling well?
She looks peaked.
I'm just saying, I've been reading a lot lately about epigenetic changes in the womb.
This is a Bible discussion, not a science class.
I'm talking about the Bible. I actually started reading it.
Murmurs amongst the group.
What does that mean? We all read it.
We don't read it. We all know the same 10 verses from Bible school. After that, it's all what we're told by Preacher Greene. It's his interpretation.
Sarah is appalled.
He's been a preacher for 40 years. Surely we don't really have to read it.
Verses change depending on how they are interpreted.
You can't just change the meaning of the Bible verse to suit yourself.
Rachel starts gathering her things.
Where are you going?
To the high school to stone to death all the unwed girls that aren't virgins. I'm going to be a while.
Enough of this madness, Rachel.
Deuteronomy 22:21. She shall be brought to her father's house, and there the men of her town shall stone her to death.
Sarah is inflamed. Jan is trying to understand.
You cannot take scripture out of context.
Exactly.
Exactly what?
I think you should leave the group.
All eyes turn to Rachel.
For debating scripture.
We will all pray for you.
Rachel looks around. Most of the women are rigid back in support of Sarah. Only a few look away. Rachel turns to Jan. Jan quickly looks at Sarah, unsure what to do.
All right.
She picks up her purse and walks out holding her Bible. Interior Baptist University office day. The back wall displays Baptist University seal, God, and humanity. Jake is seated with Bryce Henson, Dean of Athletics, and head coach Norman Campbell.
We've been looking forward to this day. Just a few formalities, really. Your record speaks for itself.
I've been fortunate to have some really great players.
Good players are made great by a great coach, and you are one of those coaches. God gave you a real gift, son.
Jake acquiesces, humbled.
I appreciate that.
Let's just cut to the chase.
Bryce tosses a packet in front of Jake. Jake glances through it.
We have your salary and benefits laid out in the offer. Baptist also offers full tuition for your kids.
More than I expected, actually.
You take very seriously who we let into the fold here. We all go to service on campus. You should bring the family up one Sunday. Introduce y'all to the congregation.
That would be great.
So let's do this. Sign the contract and we're all set.
Jake closes the packet, hesitating.
Can I have some time to look everything over?
Absolutely. Talk it over with your family. But we need a commitment by end of semester.
Not that you'll need that long.
They all stand and shake his hand enthusiastically. Exterior Baptist University Stadium day. Jake is seated in the bleachers holding his contract, watching Baptist University football practice, looking out over the field with frustration and hope woven together, his dreams so close. Interior Haskett bedroom, night. Jake drags himself into the bedroom to find Rachel, red eyes and puffy face, already asleep in bed. Jake takes off his shirt and pushes his shoes and pants off, getting under the covers quietly. She senses his presence and rolls over facing him. Jake curls up to her, emotionally exhausted.
Didn't go so well.
I know your mom called you. I'm Satan now.
I told her I've checked you out thoroughly and I've never seen any horns. No tail either.
They both have a small laugh.
How was your meeting?
Great. Everything we wanted and more.
Interior Jan's salon, afternoon. Rachel and Sarah, strained smiles, are hovered over a less than thrilled Becca, who has been transformed into a homecoming queen by Jan. Jan spins the chair around.
Ta-da!
Jan's giggly with glee at her work. Becca looks beautiful, but it's just not her low-key natural look.
Now, a lot of girls are going with the fake lashes.
No,
She's
no
good.
lashes.
Too much? Okay.
She looks beautiful, Jan. You do look beautiful.
Exterior, Rachel's SUV day. Rachel and Becca are driving home. Becca is looking in the mirror, trying to wipe some of the excess makeup off.
Don't smear it.
I should just stay home.
He wrote a very remorseful apology letter. Even Mitch forgave him.
He's a moron. I could go alone, no date.
Just go as a friend. It's one night and it's making your dad very happy.
Interior, high school gym, night. Homecoming dance, loud music and lights. Gym filled with hormone-driven teenagers dancing. Becca is standing with a group of kids, including Ryan, who looks as miserable as she does. Becca's eyes are on Leah, standing across the room. She snaps her wristband and flinches as she looks down and realizes she has blood on her wrist. She walks off without looking back. Interior, high school gym, bathroom. Becca's at the sink, washing the blood off her wrist. A couple of girls are reapplying makeup at the mirror. They leave as Leah walks inside.
You should be in jail.
Not now, Leah.
You think it's only hard for you? My parents moved me to this backwoods hick place, and I fall for the homophobe coach's daughter? Lucky fucking me.
My dad is not a homophobe. He's a free will Baptist.
Is there a fucking difference?
Becca backs to the counter, bracing herself.
You're cursing a lot.
Maybe you should pray for me.
Becca throws the drying towels down, tears welling up.
It's not that easy. If you're a Christian, you'd understand.
You didn't have to show up with a dickhead. You could have come alone. I came alone.
I don't love you anymore.
Oh, really? Just like that?
God's healing me.
A frustrated Leah kisses her. Becca kisses her back and then backs up in tears, torn apart.
I won't go to hell.
You're already there.
Becca closes her eyes as a group of girls open the door. The girls take over the mirrors, side-eyeing and snickering at Becca as Leah leaves her standing with them. Interior, Preacher Greene's office day. Becca kneeling in front of a cross, praying fervently. She finishes and takes her seat across from Preacher Greene. She's gaunt with dark circles under her young eyes. Preacher Greene notices her wrist and frowns.
How were your thoughts this week?
I'm praying really hard.
Exterior football field day. Players are running drills. Jake and Paul are on the sideline. Ryan is dressed out on the bench. Ryan's father approaches the fence, a small submissive woman beside him holding a pie. Ryan hides his face.
Coach,
Jake spots him with a frown.
What can I do for you, Richard?
this is Ryan's mama, Patsy. You remember her?
Pleasure to see you again. We're in the middle of practice. Can we make an appointment?
Patsy just wanted to come by for a minute.
This is my famous caramel apple pie.
Jake takes the pie awkwardly.
Thanks, very thoughtful of you.
Richard nudges her.
We just need you to play our boy, Coach. You know, we ain't got no way to send him to college without a scholarship. He weren't even the one that roughed that gay guy up so bad. He was a good boy.
She glances at Richard for approval of her delivery. He puts a hand on her back.
I understand, Patsy, but I've already explained to Richard we're trying to make sure these are good kids, not just good ball players.
You say my kid ain't a good person?
Patsy cowers a bit at Richard's voice. Jake notices.
I'm saying he's a good kid that made a bad choice. Bad choices have consequences.
Richard drops the facade. Full-blown aggressive attitude emerges, menacing.
You better hope they give my boy that scholarship.
I hope they do, Richard. I really do.
Richard jerks his wife away, half dragging her toward the parking lot. Ryan is in the background, looks embarrassed. Richard hollers back.
I hope you choke on that pie.
Interior, Rachel's SUV, day. Parked in the church parking lot, Rachel is shoving a donut in her mouth, holding a coffee. She spots Becca trudging out, clutching her Bible to her chest, sorrow etched on her young face. Becca stops walking halfway to the car and starts sobbing. Rachel puts her coffee in the cup holder.
Enough of this shit.
She gets out the car, approaching Becca.
Wait in the car, sweetheart. I'll be right back.
She marches into the church. Interior coffee shop, day. Rachel and Becca have treated themselves. They're laughing, and Becca has regained some vigor.
What about Dad and Anna?
Let me worry about them. You have bigger worries. What song are you going to sing for that audition?
A change in me. Or maybe home.
Change in Me. You can do that one with your eyes closed.
Anyone can sing with their eyes closed.
They giggle.
Yeah, true.
I love you, Mom.
I love you too, sweetheart. So does Dad. More than his own life. And as much as I hate to admit it, Nana loves you too. She just has a terrible way of showing it.
Becca laughs. Exterior Haskett driveway, day. Jake is under the hood of his truck, Paul assisting with the toolbox nearby.
Hand me that.
Jake points. Paul hands a tool as Sarah screeches into the driveway like a bat out of hell and exits her car, marching toward the house without giving them a second glance. Jake throws the tool into the toolbox and starts wiping off his hands.
That can't be good.
Oh shit.
Interior Haskett house. Rachel is sitting on the sofa looking at her iPad. Sarah bursts in unannounced. Rachel jumps up, startled.
How could you?
Rachel knows what she's talking about.
God told me to.
You're evil. You are no kind of mother.
Jake and Paul enter the house. Sarah and Rachel are squared off.
What now?
Sarah straightens into a self-righteous posture.
She took Becca out of therapy.
Jake literally steps back in shock. Rachel blatantly ignores Sarah.
Jake, I was going to tell you when Paul left that therapy was killing her soul.
She's a lion. He just told me he was seeing real progress.
So he's delusional or he's a liar.
Sarah staggers at the suggestion.
You did this without even asking me?
Did you hear what I just said? Our daughter is not okay.
Liar.
Rachel bites back at Sarah.
You're a Bible-thumping lunatic.
Sarah recoils. Even Paul is shocked.
Don't let her speak to me like that.
Stop, just stop it, both of you.
Jake turns on Rachel.
We don't work this way, we're a team.
It's not okay that our daughter thinks she's going to hell.
So you're gonna help her get there?
I would rather be in hell with Becca than with you in heaven with your head up your mother's ass.
Jake is truly hurt. Sarah feigns indignation. Rachel regrets it as soon as she sees the hurt in his face.
I'm sorry, Jake. I don't know what to do anymore.
Jake shakes his head and backs towards the door. He slams it shut behind him as he leaves them standing there. Sarah straightens self-righteously.
The greatest trick Satan ever pulled was making people believe he wasn't real.
Oh, he's real, all right.
Rachel walks out of the room. Exterior football field evening. Jake is scanning the stands filled to capacity. The game is almost over. Sarah and Jan are seated in the stands. All Jake can see is who's absent. Paul runs past, calling out to the field. The buzzer sounds, game over. Paul slumbers back up to Jake.
It's just one loss. We're still in it.
Interior Haskett home evening. Jake walks into a dark house. Rachel is outside, sitting on the rear deck with a blanket over her lap. Her eyes are red. Jake flips on an outside light as he approaches with a cup of coffee and donuts, a peace offering of sorts.
The light was on at the donut shop. They're still warm. Holy shit, Rachel.
Rachel nods toward the table, barely glancing at Jake. She's smoking a cigarette that she puts out. He sits beside her. Rachel makes no eye contact.
I'm the disobedient wife, remember?
You haven't smoked since college.
Do you know how many wives take Valium or Xanax to deal with this shit?
You aren't dealing with it, you're accepting it.
She finally looks him in the face.
And you? What are you doing, Jake? Have you had a thought in your head that your mother hasn't approved?
How could you want that life for Becca?
I don't want it. I don't even understand it. Doesn't change the fact that we have to accept it.
Why do we have to accept it? I don't want that life for her.
It's not your choice. You're trying to make it our choice, but it's not. It's hers.
She's a child.
Rachel holds her head in frustration, regrouping.
Do you know I only went to our high school games to watch you? I hated football. I never saw one ball get caught. I couldn't look away from you.
There was this new girl I was trying to impress.
Rachel gives a small smile.
My mom said your family were all religious nuts. She called your mom the Holy Roller.
Jake shrugs maybe.
We were 17, but I knew you made me happy. We have to trust Becca. She knows what makes her happy.
What if you're wrong? We could protect her from making a huge mistake.
Or we could be making a huge mistake.
I don't understand how I'm the bad guy here. I don't want Becca to have a hard life.
You're right. This is so much easier for her.
Jake has no answer. Rachel's body slumps from the weight of her sadness.
You won't try to see another way, and I won't keep doing this to Becca.
What does that mean?
Rachel takes a deep breath.
I don't know. The kids and I can move out.
Jesus, don't say that. I can fix this, Rachel.
A mother has to protect her children.
Not from their father, not from me.
From God himself, apparently.
Rachel, I love you. I love my kids. You know this.
I know you love me, and I know you love Luke. But saying you love Becca and then forcing her to be your version of normal, do you think that feels like love to her?
Jake deflates, lost and grasping.
We'll do regular counseling. Not through the church. What about that? We can try that.
Rachel thinks it over.
Tell your mother it was your idea.
He pulls her into his arms in relief.
I will, I swear.
Interior, Jake's trapped day. Jake is driving in the pre-dawn darkness, stealing glances at Becca. What once came so easily is now uncomfortable silence.
You want to talk?
Becca takes out one earphone and looks at Jake.
What?
We haven't had a lot of time to talk. I was trying to catch up.
Becca looks out the front window, frowning.
You and Mom are fighting? It's because of me, right?
No,
Becca makes a yeah right face at Jake.
we're working through some things. Parents fight.
You and Mom never fought. You were kind of disgusting, actually. My friends thought you guys were the cool parents.
We're not cool anymore?
Becca puts her earphones back in. Exterior hunting grounds, day. The sun is coming up as they top the mountain ridge. Jake's truck pulls to a stop in the clearing on the edge of the woods. There's a low-lying fog and a mist fills the late autumn forest. They exit the truck. Jake starts unloading gear. Becca lifts her gun out of the truck and pulls her tree stand on her back.
I'm going to walk in.
She heads into the woods.
No hunting till I'm with you. We need to wait for this fog to lift.
Becca walks deeper into the trees. Jake is still unloading gear. He moves to the rear of the truck, opening the tailgate, and removes the tents before he prepares to unload the four-wheeler. A gunshot rings out. Jake snaps to attention.
What the hell? Becca!
Jake grabs his gun and jogs to the edge of the trees, scanning through the mist. Jake moves in farther.
Becca!
Fighting his panic, Jake continues in. His heart nearly stops as he hears the cries of a mountain lion. He spots Becca's tree stand on the ground near a steep embankment. A trail showing something has slid down through the loose leaf covering.
Dad!
Jake slides down the embankment, holding onto trees and branches, struggling to stay upright, barely seeing past the next tree. Finally, he spots movement below him. The animal cries out again. Jake lets go off the tree, sliding down as fast as he can. Becca is at the bottom, trying frantically to unjam her rifle. A large, injured mountain lion crouched below her. Jake tries to take aim, but the animal is blocked by Becca.
Shit. Becca, back away. Don't turn around.
Becca turns around.
Dad.
Face it. Turn around. Face it, Becca.
She slips, falling to the ground as the cat prepares to pounce. Firing one shot, Jake drops the cat as it springs. Becca stands up, clambering to her dad.
I looked up and he was just there. I didn't get a clean shot.
Jake pulls her close, hugging her, choking down his tears. She's covered with dirt and debris from her fall.
Are you hurt?
No,
Jake catches his breath, Becca hers.
definitely not a house cat.
Jake laughs in relief and lets up on the strangling hug. Jake and Becca peer down at the majestic cat's lifeless body. Becca takes Jake's hand.
He looked right in my eyes. I've never seen an animal do that.
Becca starts to shake as her shock wears off.
You say the prayer, Dad.
They bow their heads.
We humbly ask your forgiveness, God, for taking the life of this beautiful animal without the need for its nourishment. We ask that his spirit may run forevermore in your forest. We ask your blessings and guidance in everything we do.
Jake looks at Becca, a lump in his throat.
And thank you for keeping Becca safe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Becca hugs her dad's side. Exterior campsite, night. 2 single-person tents are set up around a blazing campfire. Jake and Becca are toasting s'mores.
Mom's going to freak.
I seriously thought I was having a heart attack when I heard her cry out.
I'm glad I peed before I left the house.
Me too.
This cracks them both up. Becca stops laughing, watching her dad.
I didn't think we'd ever do this again.
This never stops. We'll do this with your kids one day. I mean,
Jake stops himself. Awkward silence ensues again.
It's okay, Dad. Mom said to give you time. I have her patience.
your mom has the patience of Job.
God, are you guys gonna be all gross again?
Your friends think we're cool.
Becca smirks. Exterior Haskett home day. Jake pulls into the driveway. The home has been egged. Rachel is in front with a bucket vigorously scrubbing a gay slur off the garage door. Becca stomps out the truck. Jake follows.
You okay? Where's Luke?
In the house. We're fine. Great. Couldn't be better. Becca, go inside and check on your brother.
Becca storms into the house.
Are you really okay?
I said I'm fine.
Rachel goes back to scrubbing vigorously. Her hands are red and freezing.
Stupid kids. The window's busted out in our bedroom. Paul put a board over it. Be glad you all had the guns.
Rachel beats the garage door with her sponge.
Why won't this goddamn paint come off?
Let's go inside. Come on, I'll paint over the garage door.
I'll paint it.
All right, you can paint it. Let's go inside. Your hands are frozen.
Jake takes the sponge from her, throwing it into the bucket, and gently leads her into the house. Exterior Sarah's house, day. Jake bounces up the front steps, opening the front door.
Ma!
Sarah comes out the kitchen.
Where's Becca? It's baking day. We're doing apple pie and pecan pie this year. I know we usually have pumpkin on Thanksgiving, but I thought we'd shake it up a little.
That's fine. She's helping Rachel paint the garage door. You can come pick her up later.
Jake takes a seat.
I wanted to speak to you before she comes over.
Sarah sits down on the couch across from Jake.
I know about the house. You shouldn't have benched those boys. People's mad about it. They say you done it to stick up for Becca.
How the hell do people know about Becca?
Really, son? This town has more ears than Iowa. What are we gonna do, Jake? Our baby girl.
Jake braces himself.
That's why I stopped by. Rachel and I have decided to go to the family counseling with Becca. Not through the church. We'll see where this takes us.
Sarah explodes.
Hell. It's the road straight to hell. I knew that
My
woman.
wife. Rachel's my wife. Becca is our child. It's our decision, my decision.
Sarah breaks into tears.
I can't believe this from you. Well, from Paul maybe, but not from you.
Oh, God, Mom. It's not the end of the world. We're still a family. You just have to back off Becca. Let us sort this out, all right?
Sarah nods as she wipes tears.
All right. I guess I don't have a choice. The devil's got hold of you both now.
If you talk like that around Becca, she won't be coming over. Understand? I mean it. I gave Rachel my word you would follow our plan.
Sarah backs down. Now she's the victim.
I understand. The Lord will show us the way, I'm sure of it.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but the Lord will show us the way. I'm sure of it.
I can still pray for her, can't I?
Jake stands up.
You can always pray. I'm going to practice. Becca's waiting for you at the house.
Interior church, day. Sarah enters the church and hangs up her coat, walks to the front pew and sits looking up at the cross above the pulpit. She wipes a few tears. Preacher Greene enters and spots Sarah. He sits beside her.
She wasn't raised in the church, but she loves her children.
Spare the rod and spoil the child. That's how I raised both my boys.
They are fine boys.
A mother sacrifices.
Interior Sarah's car, day. Sarah pulls up the driveway, eyes wide, mouth gaped open. Exterior Haskett home, day. The front banister Panthers flag is now flying alongside a rainbow flag. Becca skips out the door, overnight bag in hand. She hesitates for a moment before strolling cautiously to Sarah's car. Interior Sarah's car. Becca buckles up. She looks at her speechless Nana, still staring at the flag.
Genesis 9:16. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on earth.
Interior Sarah's house, day. Becca follows Sarah into the house. Sarah throws her things down, flustered.
What are we baking today?
Apple pie and pecan pie. Just let me make a few calls. Start without me.
Interior kitchen, night. Sarah and Becca are peering at the pecan pies in the oven. Apple pies are on the table. The front doorbell rings.
They're ready. Take them out.
Sarah goes to answer the door. She returns to the doorway as Becca sets the pies on the counter.
Becca!
Interior living room. They enter the living room. Jan is sitting on the sofa beside Preacher Greene. Both smile at Becca in a way that's more anxiety-provoking than reassuring.
Becca, honey, come sit.
Becca sits on the edge of the love seat. Sarah takes a seat by Jan.
Your dad came by before practice this morning. We had a real nice talk.
Becca's face drops.
We'll start with each of you telling Becca how her choice to continue on this path has affected you. Who wants to go first?
Jan raises her hand like a schoolchild. Preacher Greene nods.
I want to start by saying how much I love you. I know I'm still new to the family, but I've watched you grow in the church, and so it feels like longer.
Jan looks around for support. Sarah nods.
And it's just been devastating watching you struggle with this demon. I mean, you've never been the most feminine girl, but your mom never showed you how to do your hair and makeup, and I think that's why God put me in your family. So when you're ready to look like a real girl, I can show you how.
Jan smiles, proud of her speech. Sarah tears up before she can even get her words out.
My heart's broken. I didn't want this for you, but I don't blame you, Becca. Your faith is being tested. But you cannot doubt that homosexuality is a sin. It's a demon, an agent of Satan. Now, I love you, and we are going to drive the demon out together.
Sarah chokes up. Jan comforts her. Preacher Greene stands up tall, raising a hand up to the ceiling, eyes closed. Becca shrinks. Preacher Greene bows his head and places a hand on Becca's head.
Let us pray. Lord, I call on you in the name of Jesus. Give us the strength to put this abomination to an end tonight. Use me as a vessel for your divine intervention. Our Heavenly Father, Timothy 4:1 tells us in later days some will depart from the faith and devote themselves to deceitful spirits and demons. But Luke 10:17 tells us, even the devil is subject unto us through thy name. So in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, I beseech thee, O Holy Spirit, to help us expel the demon inside this child. Help us to cast out the devil's wicked minions deceiving her young mind. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Preacher Greene takes a bottle from his bag.
Becca, have you ever eaten a food that made you sick and afterwards you never wanted to eat that food again? You can turn it on.
Jan reacts to her cue and hits play on a remote. Sarah clutches her heart.
Yes.
Becca regards the television, bewildered. Eyes wide open, shocked. Off screen, sounds of women engaging in sexual activity. Preacher Greene holds up a bottle of Ipecac.
We're going to make you sick of lesbian sin.
Preacher Greene holds the bottle out towards Becca. Becca takes it and stares at the plain bottle. She looks at Sarah. Sarah nods at her with a small, painful smile.
Show us your faith, sweetheart.
Becca looks back at the bottle, closes her tear-filled eyes, and drinks it. Interior Jake and Rachel's bedroom, night. Jake is wrapped around Rachel asleep. His cell rings and startles them awake. He answers as Rachel sits up and turns on the light. Interior hospital, night. Small town ER. Panic-stricken, clutching each other, Jake and Rachel rush through the doors to the front desk. Paul and Jan jump up as they spot them. Jan looks frail and homely, her makeup washed away. She bursts into fresh tears upon seeing them enter. Paul puts his arm around her. His own face is red and puffy.
Rebecca Haskett, we're her parents.
The nurse motions them to come through a side door.
Rachel, I'm sorry.
Jan breaks down, covering her face. Jake jerks Rachel back through the doors to the ER. Interior ER hallway. Front desk nurse takes them past empty rooms. They halt abruptly. Inside her ER room, Becca is covered in blood. Machines are being connected to her. Rachel lurches towards her baby. Jake restrains her, grasping to control her and his own fear.
Becca! Oh my God. We're here, Becca!
The doctor glances their way, jerking his head toward the curtain. The male nurse inside yanks the curtain closed over the glass. Jake forces Rachel around, burying her head in his chest. The nurse frets as she motions Jake to backtrack with her.
I'm sorry. We'll get you back as soon as possible.
I'm not leaving her, please, Jake.
They can't help her if we're in the way.
Interior waiting room. Paul and Jan stand huddled together as Jake guides Rachel back through the door into the waiting room.
There's a chapel on the second floor.
My daughter isn't in the chapel.
The affronted clerk walks away.
Rachel, please. What happened?
She started throwing up and she just wouldn't stop and she was throwing up blood.
Like food poisoning? What did they bake? It had to be the eggs. I told her to buy organic, free range.
Jan covers her mouth and starts crying again. Paul can barely look them in the eye.
They had her drink this stuff that makes you throw up.
What stuff? Why?
Ipecac. It was Ipecac.
For the food poisoning?
There's no food poisoning.
Paul levels a perplexed Jake with a remorseful face. His voice cracks as he speaks.
I had no idea, I swear it, Jake.
Confession stops as the grim-faced doctor comes through the waiting room door.
I'm Dr. Edwards. You're the parents?
Yes.
Yes.
Becca has internal bleeding in her esophagus and lower part of her stomach. We're taking her into surgery now to repair a tear that's the main source of the bleeding.
Can we see her?
The doctor gives Jake a look.
She lost a lot of blood, and she's not regained consciousness.
Rachel flops down and puts her head in her hands, crying. Jake puts an arm around her, holding back his own tears.
But she's gonna be okay?
We'll know more after the surgery. I need to get back. One of the nurses will keep you posted, and she has forms for you to sign. We may need you to give blood.
Rachel makes a distressed noise, clutching Jake.
Whatever you need. Thank you.
The doctor hurries back through the door. Jan approaches timidly. Her eyes are puffy and red, still flowing with tears. Paul puts his hands up to stop her.
Not now, Jan.
She ignores him and crouches in front of Rachel.
Sarah thought if we had an intervention, it would help.
Rachel focuses, letting up her grip on Jake.
A what?
Sarah brought Preacher Greene over. He gave Becca the Ipecac to drink. Well, he made her watch lesbian porn. You can see the logic, right?
Rachel and Jake stare at Jan in a perplexed, stunned silence.
It's like when you eat chicken nuggets and they make you sick, so you never want to eat chicken nuggets again.
Rachel launches her on top of Jan.
You stupid, ignorant!
Jake and Paul struggle to drag a kicking and flailing Rachel off a cowering Jan sniveling on the floor.
Let me go! They did this!
Rachel turns on Jake as he pulls her away. Paul helps Jan up and away from an unglued Rachel.
Did you know? Did you know they were doing that? You promised me.
No, Jesus, no, I swear to God I didn't know.
Interior hospital chapel. Jake is sitting in the front row with his head down. He's praying with all his heart. Tears flow freely as Sarah sits down beside him, straight-backed and rigid.
You had no right, Mom.
It's a rare thing to react to ipecac that way.
Jake's anger is sudden and vicious.
He gave her the whole bottle and you let him.
The good Lord told me this was the way. He doesn't want that life for Becca.
I want any life for Becca right now. You do realize you may have killed your granddaughter?
Sarah looks at him unflinching.
Then it will be God's will, not mine.
He's a cruel fucking God if he lets my little girl die.
Sarah stands up, commanding as always.
Our little girl is not a little girl anymore.
You need to leave. Now. Before Rachel sees you. I won't be pulling her off you.
I notice she's not in here praying.
Believe me, she's closer to God than either one of us will ever be.
Sarah sighs and steps towards the door.
I did what you couldn't do. I hope in your praying to God that it works.
She turns to go.
Stay away from my kids.
Sarah takes the blow hard and becomes pitiful.
I'm trying to save this family. Don't you know that?
I don't know what I know anymore.
Sarah lowers her head heartbroken, dabbing away her own tears.
Then I'll pray for all of you.
Interior hospital room morning. Jake jolts awake on his hospital cot. Rachel is sitting beside Becca's bed, holding her hand. Becca sedated with machines and monitors hooked to her. Jake puts his hand on theirs. Rachel slides hers away and picks up a hospital coffee, makes a face, and throws it in the trash.
I'll get you some decent coffee.
Jake kisses the top of her head before he leaves. Interior coffee shop, day. Jake is at the counter. He picks up the coffee, leaving with his head down. He glances at the sound of a child's laugh. Mitch is seated at a table with Gary and their son. Jake watches. It could be a poster for the modern gay family. The child drops a small football in his hand and starts fussing. Both men reach for it. Mitch picks it up, noticing Jake as he hands his son the football and acknowledges him. Jake cordially nods back as he walks out. Interior hospital room, day. Jake enters the room. Rachel is sitting with a groggy but awake Becca. The doctor's in the room with a woman in business attire beside him. Rachel stands up as Jake enters the room. Jake goes to Becca first, kissing the top of her head.
Hey, sweetheart. How you feeling?
Hey, Dad. I'm alright.
I was telling your wife, the repair looks good. I don't think there's going to be any lasting effects from this. If everything stays the course, we can release her by Saturday.
Dr. Edwards becomes a little uncomfortable.
This is Mrs. Wolf. She's with Child Protective Services. She needs to speak with Becca. Alone.
Why? What's the problem?
I just need a few minutes to speak with your daughter, and then I'll speak with you and your wife.
We have a right to know what you're speaking to her about. She's a minor.
I understand your concern, Mr. Haskett, but I do have the right, and I'll explain everything after I speak with your daughter. Alone.
If we say no?
Then I'll get a court order, Mr. Haskett. But no one wants that. There's no need.
Interior hospital, break room. Jake follows a furious Rachel into a private room set up with a table and chairs and a coffee machine on the counter, not much else. As soon as the door closes, Rachel explodes.
I swear to God, your mum will see hell if they take my child.
I can't take her over an accident.
It wasn't an accident. It was planned. It had a purpose. Remember?
Interior break room. Mrs. Wolf enters the room. Seated apart and weary, Jake and Rachel both stand.
Sit, sit.
Mrs. Wolf pulls out her own chair and sits.
The hospital has an obligation by law to report anything unusual and suspicious. And I think we can agree that this was both.
Jake and Rachel exchange a look but remain silent.
Becca doesn't seem to remember much except feeling sick.
Jake's body relaxes a bit.
The doctor stated food poisoning couldn't be ruled out as her stomach had been emptied by the time she arrived.
She watches them for a moment.
Mrs. Haskett, why did you attack your sister-in-law in the ER?
Rachel looks at Jake before turning back to Mrs. Wolf.
I don't know what happened.
What do you think had happened?
Rachel looks to Jake again.
Mrs. Haskett,
I don't know. I saw Becca with the blood.
My wife is an emotional person.
Rachel starts crying as if to illustrate. Jake puts his arm around her. Rachel grabs his hand. Mrs. Wolf watches them for a moment.
I still need to speak with your mother and your son, Luke.
Our son was at a friend's house.
It's protocol, Mr. Haskett. When one child is involved, we still have to speak with all children in the household. I'll set up a time to come by the house, or we can speak with him at his school.
No, the house is fine. We'll make time.
Mrs. Wolf stands up, gathering her file, and shakes hands.
I'll call you to set up a time.
And after that, what happens?
If we find nothing, we keep the case open for 30 days. If there are no more incidents, then we close it.
Rachel gives her a moment at the door before she lays her head on the table and breaks apart in earnest. Interior Haskett house, kitchen, family room, day. Jake leans against the doorway, watching a detached Rachel as she puts away dishes. She has trouble with a high shelf. He walks over to help.
I've got it.
Jake stands down.
Becca's already asleep.
Rachel continues putting up dishes. Jake leans on the counter, looking at a card on one of the multiple balloon and flower arrangements.
Preacher Greene sent these.
Rachel stops, takes the arrangement, and throws it in the trash, then continues with the dishes.
Maybe tomorrow we can take the kids to shoot down some mistletoe. Just in the backwoods. No real hiking.
Rachel doesn't respond.
Our first kiss was under mistletoe, remember?
Rachel stops and stares at the counter, softening her stance.
What are you doing about your mother?
Jake throws his hands up.
I told her she has to stay away from the kids. Period.
She almost killed our daughter.
What else can I do, Rachel? Taking the kids away is akin to hell as far as she's concerned. You want a pound of flesh, too?
An eye for an eye.
I know she was wrong. I'm just as angry with her as you are, but she loves us, Rachel. In a fucked up way, I know, but she does. It's what she believes in her heart to be the truth. I understand her confusion. Giving up your faith isn't like buying a new car or changing a brand of deodorant. I'm trying, but you don't seem to give a damn about that, do you?
What is wrong with you? I know she loves us, but it's no longer an excuse. I'm not writing Nana loved her on Becca's tombstone to satisfy your outdated beliefs.
Outdated? You married me in that church. You knew my beliefs. For 20 years, my beliefs haven't been a problem. You weren't marching for gay pride then. Now I'm just supposed to act like it's not what I believe?
I should have marched. I'll damn sure march in the next one. My heart's changed, Jake. I'm sorry. I know this is hard for you, but you can't pretend. Becca feels it.
You're right. I can't pretend. It's not who I am. I love my family, I love Becca, and I love God. I don't love that you're making me the bad guy for wanting her to make the right choices.
You need to leave, or we're leaving. I can't do this.
I lose my family because I can't give up my faith at the drop of a hat. Becca's never actually even said she was a lesbian. She's confused.
I'm not losing my kids, and I'm not going to raise them full of nonsense.
It's not nonsense to me. My daughter's salvation is not nonsense.
Take this time to ask yourself if it's really what you believe in your heart, or is it just a coat you wear because everyone else does and you're afraid to take yours off?
Interior Wicked Weed, afternoon. Jake walks inside. Paul is at a table alone in a corner, already drinking, obviously upset. Jake sits down.
Jesus. I'm the one that needs to be drinking. Sorry about intruding on you. I can't stay with Mom.
This family is screwed up all kind of ways, but my house is always open to you. Stay as long as you like.
Waitress walks over. Jake waves her off.
Sorry Jan was a part of Mom's treachery.
No one blames Jan. Well, Rachel does, but it's the big fish she's after.
I'm a shark. Sharks for Jesus. Our way or we bite your ass. They should make the little fish on the back of the cars into a shark.
Paul snickers at his joke.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Bullshit. She could change. She doesn't want to.
Paul gnashes his teeth.
Shark, devour you whole.
Let's go before you've had too many.
Too late.
Paul laughs again.
Always the good son.
That might be you now.
This strikes Paul as funny.
No, that'll never be me. Come on.
Interior Haskett home, day. Rachel opens the front door. She finds a remorseful Jan standing there looking lost.
I can't take back what happened. I chose to be there, but I sincerely thought we would help Becca. I never hurt her on purpose. You've known me for years. I've never hurt anybody.
Rachel knows this is true.
I appreciate your coming by to say that. I know more than anybody. It's not easy being in this family.
Jan smiles a little relieved.
It's not so bad. It's better than no family.
Rachel relaxes her pose, a tinge of guilt on her face.
thought about what you said at the Bible study. I looked up some verses. James 4:12. There is only one lawgiver and judge, the one who is able to save and destroy. But you, who are you to judge your neighbor? And Galatians 5:14. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. So I was thinking, what all that means. I mean, we're all neighbors, right?
Rachel evaluates her for a moment, then opens the front door wider.
Put on some coffee.
Jan follows her inside.
I looked up some of that science stuff too.
Interior Jake's office day. Leaned back at his desk, Jake studies over his game day videos. His cell phone rings. It's Baptist University.
Hey, Norman.
Jake, you didn't sign with someone else, did you?
No, absolutely not. I've had some issues to clear up. An illness in the family.
Well, I hope everyone's okay.
Yeah, everyone's good.
I heard about your fullback. We were taking a look at him, but if I'm honest, even before his mishap, you can't offer a scholarship with those grades. I didn't know you could fail chorus.
Jake lets out a small laugh.
You bounced back, though. Only one loss.
Yeah, it's taken a bit of adjusting, but it's a good team.
All right, then. We need that contract signed. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me.
Will do.
Jake hangs up as Ryan strides past his door.
Ryan,
Pops his head back inside.
Yeah, Coach?
have a minute?
Yeah, Coach, sure.
Close the door.
Ryan sits down.
I just spoke with Baptist. I wanted you to know they wanted you. It's a grades thing. They couldn't look past it.
My dad said grades didn't matter if you played well.
Go to the community college, get your grades up, and when you get into Baptist, you try out as a walk-on.
My dad's gonna flip the fuck out. I'm sorry, Coach. Oh, man.
This is about you, not your dad. It's your life.
Ryan scoffs.
All due respect, Coach. You don't really know my dad. Who do you think told us to beat up Mr. Ash?
Jake takes this in.
Just be your own man. Do what your heart tells you.
That ain't such an easy thing in my family.
Trust me, I understand. It's not easy in any family.
Ryan walks out, shoulders slumped. Interior Paul's guest room, night. Jake is in bed, studying his Bible. Looking things up on his iPad back and forth. He sets it down, frustrated. He looks at the empty space beside him in bed and gives up for the night, turning out the light. Interior church, day. Jake walks into the vestibule. Preacher Greene stops, startled to see him.
Jake, my son, can't tell you how sorry I am about what happened. It's a rare thing to react to Ipecac that way. Terrible thing. So glad the Lord has pulled her through.
With all due respect, preacher, I spent all night reading scripture and I found nothing about giving a child Ipecac and forcing her to watch porn.
You asked me for conversion therapy. That's part of the program. One of the lesser tactics, actually.
Rachel told you Becca was out of the program.
But your mother...
I just want to be clear that it's over. No more.
Jake, I raised her in this church. I raised you.
I know. And I've tried every day of my life to follow what I've learned here from you. This thing with Becca.
Don't let Satan guide you, son. You're lost.
I am lost, but till I find my way, my family's off limits.
Exterior, Jake's house, morning. Jake is standing in front of his house, Christmas lights strung around the porch. He stares at the rainbow flag for a moment before trouncing to the front door. He starts to unlock it, but stops and rings the doorbell. Becca opens the door. Luke is beside her. They are dressed to go out.
Don't be dumb, Dad.
The kids start for the truck. Jake realizes Rachel isn't coming to the door and follows behind them, disappointed. Exterior woods, day. Jake and the kids are hiking through the woods, Luke running ahead exploring.
Sure you feel up to this? It's a little chilly today.
I'm fine, Dad.
Luke runs back to them.
Do you think we'll see any snakes?
The snakes sleep in the winter.
Luke's face brightens.
If they're asleep, we can bring one home for a pet.
Luke runs off before Jake can protest.
And just what Mom needs, a snake in the house.
He's not gonna find one anyway.
How's Mom doing?
She looks as bad as you and she cries a lot.
This does not make him happy. They walk a few awkward paces.
Your Nana.
I don't want to hear about Nana right now. I'm trying to understand. It just makes no sense.
Becca stops walking. Jake pulls her over to a large boulder and they sit.
I feel helpless, Becca. Raising you and Luke right is the most important thing I'll ever do in my life.
Becca steps in front of Jake. She searches his face.
Dad, I'm a lesbian.
There's relief that she said it aloud.
You sure, Becca? You're really, really sure?
Becca nods.
I'm sure and I love Leia. I'm not dumb enough to think she's the person I'll marry. but I know whoever I marry, it'll be a girl. It's not a choice. I just feel it inside of me, like your love for Mom is inside of you. I can't fight what I am. God made me. I have to believe He has a purpose in making me this way.
Jake lets it settle. He nods with a lump in his throat. Becca looks away.
I know it's not what you want for me, but I still love you. I love Nana too. It just hurts, you know?
Jake abashed, but still can't deny it's the truth.
It was a lot easier when I could make it all better with a new bow.
The fact that it was a hunting bow and not a hair bow should have been a little cruel.
Luke runs up ecstatic with a limp snake hanging off a stick.
I got him out of a hole. Can I keep him?
Interior Paul's house, evening. Christmas decor fills the rooms like a home shopping network display. Jake and Paul, seated and dressed for Christmas service, are waiting for Jan. Jan is miserable and Paul isn't too far behind. Paul gets up and pours a small drink to prepare himself. Jake looks down the hallway for Jan. He's ready to go anywhere at this point. Paul sits back down.
You remember Bobby Fletcher?
Yeah, your friend went to University of Miami. Never came back.
He's still in Miami. You know why Mom stopped letting him spend the night?
I believe she said he was the devil incarnate.
Paul answers with the smallest of smiles at a memory.
He was.
Paul waits for the light bulb, and there it is. Jake physically braces himself.
Paul, I don't want to know.
Do you really not know?
Jake and Paul stare for a beat.
Do you think I'll burn in hell?
No. I don't know. Jesus.
Jake stands up and gets his own drink.
I don't hide the truth from God. I don't have to. I hide it from my friends, my family, you and Mom. That's the love I'm afraid to lose. So I live a lie that eats at my soul every day.
Jan walks in the room bubbly and oblivious.
Paul, that's not the tie I told you to wear. We don't match. Lord, give me strength.
She sighs and leaves the room. Paul takes a drink with a heavy heart.
She's a sweet woman, and I love her. Just not the way she deserves.
Paul eyes his empty glass, suddenly tired, and sets it down. Exterior Haskett home night. The doorbell rings. Rachel, dressed for Christmas service, opens the door. Jake stands, hands in his jacket, apprising her.
You look beautiful.
Shouldn't you be with your mother?
Genesis 2:24.
Rachel throws her hands up.
I don't know that one.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh.
Rachel is hesitant.
It's Christmas, Rachel. I want to be with my family.
Rachel searches his face. She looks back for the kids before stepping out on the porch and closing the door behind her.
We're leaving for service. This isn't a front porch conversation.
Jake's face lights up.
I'll ride with you.
We're not going to your church. We're going to the Episcopal church downtown. Mitch and Gary invited us. I thought the kids told you.
Jake fumbles around.
We can skip service, just be together here. God's everywhere, right?
Becca's singing in the choir. Come with us.
The debate in his head takes too long for Rachel.
It shouldn't be such a hard decision, Jake.
Rachel shivers, turns to go inside.
I wish it were as easy for me as it is for you.
Rachel's face dissolves into sadness. She approaches Jake, placing her hand on his heart.
I wish it were too.
She kisses his cheek and leaves him on the porch. Interior Jake's truck, night. Jake is driving on autopilot through the mountains. His cell phone rings. It's Bryce, Baptist University, on his phone.
Hey, Bryce.
Jake pulls into an overlook area, parking the truck.
Jake, we still haven't received your contract. Norman thinks there might be something we need to negotiate. Is it money? We can negotiate.
He can't put it off any longer.
No, it's not the money.
He takes a deep breath.
How negotiable is your morality clause?
Bryce hesitates.
If you tell me the problem, I'll see what I can do.
Jake takes another deep breath before speaking.
I'm just going to be upfront with you. My daughter's recently come out to us.
I don't understand.
My daughter is a lesbian. She's gay.
I know a group that does conversion.
We don't need to convert her, Bryce. I'm asking, can the university accept that? Her, us, out in the open.
Jake waits with bated breath.
I'm sorry, Jake. I don't think we could overlook that. Maybe if we kept it quiet a while,
I appreciate being given the opportunity. I really do.
All right, son. I'll keep you in my prayers. I hope she gets help.
Jake sets the phone down, heartbroken. He's trying to collect himself while his phone rings again. He grabs, answering curtly as Sarah's picture pops up.
Yeah?
Surely you're going to let me see my grandkids for Christmas.
Disappointment turns to anger.
No, Mom, enough.
I'm not celebrating Christmas without my grandchildren. I'll drive over there and get them for that woman myself.
You gotta stop. Enough. Let me handle my family. You've done enough damage, not just to Becca.
What's that supposed to mean?
You know what it means. Don't go near my family.
Jake hangs up and steps at the truck, takes a few deep breaths before screaming at the sky.
I'm asking for a little guidance here.
He kicks around the overlook for a moment and settles for leaning against the front of his truck and gazing out. His phone alerts him to a text. It's a video from Becca. Jake pushes play. On screen, Becca is seated at her desk.
Hey Dad, it's me. I wanted to make you a gift, so Mom helped me make you a book.
She holds it up.
I was supposed to wrap it and put it under the tree, but I wanted to share it with you in private, in my own way.
She holds up the first page. Jake, early 20s. She's a baby in his arms, Rachel draped around him. Nothing but pure joy and love on their faces.
This is my first day home. You look really happy. Mom said it was because I looked like you.
She shows the next page. She's a little girl on the football field with Jake.
This is me at spring training. I really thought I was trying out. This is us at Halloween. I was a football player. You put the black under my eyes. You also ate most of my candy. Don't think I forgot that.
She turns another page. Her voice cracks.
This is us when you brought Luke home. I said he was ugly, but he was really cute. Don't tell Mom I said that.
Becca flips through, her emotions overwhelming her and tears starting to fall.
There's a lot of pictures in here. We're all really happy in them, and in every one of these pictures I was gay. I am still the same Becca you loved in all these pictures. You said you wanted your little girl back, but I never left.
She gathers herself.
I just wanted you to know that. I love you, Dad.
Jake is in tears. The North Star shines bright in the sky over the town. Seems almost a beacon guiding him as he looks up.
Thank you.
Interior truck. Puts his truck in gear and spins it back toward town. Interior, Episcopalian church, night. Rachel and the kids are seated next to Mitch. Pews are filled with culturally and sexually diverse couples and families. It's an atmosphere of community and acceptance, the opposite of Jake's church. Gary is at the pulpit giving his sermon.
And the word brought light into this world.
Interior, Jake's truck. Jake is driving through downtown. A dark-colored truck makes a U-turn as Jake passes them, follows behind him unnoticed. Interior, Episcopal church.
Jesus' birth is not just something that happened 2,000 years ago. He continues to be birthed among us each and every day. For he is the Word of God, and the Word of God is in all of us.
Exterior, downtown, night. Jake parks again in front of the church. He exits the truck and looks up again to see the North Star shining above it. He strides towards the front doors. Richard parks on the road, exiting the truck, hunting Jake with baseball bat in hand. Ryan drags behind him, unsure.
Coach?
Jake, just outside the church doors, turns to find Richard closer than expected. Richard comes at him, swinging the bat. Jake ducks, grabbing the bat out of his hands and throws it down.
Ryan didn't get a scholarship, you piece of shit. Had your hand in that, didn't you?
Richard punches him in the face. Jake recovers quickly.
I told Ryan it was his grades.
Richard takes notice where Jake is heading.
You're a goddamn faggot lover. You didn't want Ryan to tell him about your queer daughter.
Interior church.
You are the light of the world, for the light of God is inside you. As we blow out the candles at the end of this service, let the light of Christ continue to burn in your heart so others will see the truth radiating from you. Together we can fill all the dark corners of the world with light and love. This is God's gift to us, the gift of love for each other. Let us pray.
Congregation bows their head. Exterior church. The church doors shake hard as Jake and Richard crash into them. Interior church. The whole congregation turns to look. Gary stops preaching. Mitch and Rachel exchange looks as voices are recognized. Exterior church. The church doors swing open, revealing Rachel and Mitch at the front of the gathered congregation. Jake is on top of Richard, swinging as Ryan grabs him. Becca bolts out.
Dad!
Rachel grabs her, holding her back, as Mitch rushes forward and grabs Ryan off Jake. Jake backs off a bloody Richard as Mitch struggles with Ryan.
Let go of him, you filthy faggot.
In quick succession, Richard scrambles up and grabs the bat. Mitch throws Ryan to the ground.
Dad, no!
Richard swings as Jake bolts in front of Mitch, taking the blow in his ribs. Rachel and Becca both scream and bolt towards Jake. He's injured and clutching his side. Gary is wrestling the bat away from Richard. The congregation joins in to subdue him. Rachel cradles Jake, Becca on his other side. A gasping Jake reaches up and touches Becca's face.
Sorry it took so long for me to get here.
Becca nods through her tears.
It's okay, Dad. I knew you would.
We hear sirens in the background. Jake closes his eyes. Fade 2. Interior Jake's house day. Rachel is in the kitchen making hot tea. We watch her for a moment as she pours 1 cup. We follow her as she takes it to the family room. Becca rushes past her.
Bye, Mom. We won't be late.
She gives her dad a kiss on her way out. We see Jake is laid up on the couch, his side bandaged. Rachel sets his tea down and fusses over him.
I'm good.
Rachel touches his face.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
He pulls her down and kisses her. The doorbell rings. Rachel answers it. Exterior front porch. In the background, Becca is getting into Leah's car. Standing on the porch are Jan and 2 other women with food and flowers. Jan is obviously the ringleader.
We brought food for Jake. Ladies?
The women file past Rachel and Jan, carrying the goods to the kitchen. Jan stands a little awkward.
We started our own Bible study. Still at the church, different day. We're up for debates, too.
Rachel is overcome with emotion.
Thank you, Jan.
Jan seesaws a bit, hesitating.
Paul told me.
Rachel looks down. She doesn't know what to say.
I don't know where we go from here, but I know God made us all, and He wants us to be as He created us.
Rachel startles her, grabbing her in a hug. Jan hugs her back.
I think we're gonna keep you somehow.
Jan smiles. They turn around watching the women fuss over Jake.